Welcome to Mörk Bronze. The world you find yourselves in is a dark and hopeless one. The kingdoms of old have crumbled, some of them have fallen into the endless seas, and those of you unlucky enough to remain here scratch together a living amongst the crumbling ruins of splendor long dead. We come to the township of Ungwint. Nestled near the borders of Sarkash Forest, a prickling, bristling overgrowth of foliage and lumber that threatens adventurers with its bounties within, but also with the carnage that it holds so dear to its heart. The city of Ungwint stands defiantly in the shadow of the wilds. A strange assemblage of people. People that are superstitious in nature. People that turn to old rituals and superstitions to keep them alive. Inherently distrustful of outsiders, they are also eager to expel those from within their boundaries that they find lacking. You hear the bell toll in the city square. You see the flickers of the bonfire against the crumbling stone walls. And you miss the warmth within them as you now find yourself in a ramshackle hovel just outside the city walls. But thankfully, still within the light's grasp. Welcome to the first episode of Mörk Bronze, sponsored by the wonderful people at Roll. I'm using Roll on desktop today, but you can actually use it on mobile apps as well. It's supported on all kinds of different apps. We actually had Xander tune in.
I was a little late and had to tune in the car. Don't do that.
But if you needed to, you could.
If you needed to, you could. We are going to be using, I've been wanting to play Morkborg and Cyborg for so long, so when I saw that there was a free starter set on Roll, I had to give it a spin. There's lots of amazing assets you can pull for, natively built into the client, and we're going to be using some of them today. But first, let's meet our wonderful group of people. I won't offend them by calling them adventurers because they... or heroes, because these things, they are maybe not. Maybe we will vote on a name that is suitable in the near future. Thankfully, you're still within the light of the bonfire. You can see the licks of flame reaching up into the gray sky above you. Like a perimeter of safety, it feels like the shadows from outside the township encroach upon you here. But you're still within the light. You miss the comfort of those walls surrounding you, crumbling and overgrown with ivy as they were. They still promised something to stymie the flow of evil coming from the wilds around you. Sitting across from you, you see, clad in what looks to be rusted armor, ill-kept, with a visor, the bottom of which resembles a jutting jaw coming up in several ragged, jagged teeth, metal crudely smelted and joined together with a torch, as it were, blackened with ash and grime, a pair of green eyes looking out at you. Introduce yourself to the crowd, Luis Carazo. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Luis Carazo. You can find me on the internet, Instagram, Twitter. Put my name together, you'll find me. And am I introducing my character yet? Because we're going to.
Yeah, what do you look like?
Okay, so I am keeping the name from the pre-gen that we used. I love this name, Phoba.
Phoba.
And Phoba is a tall, lanky man, a dark hair, kind of long and stringy, patchy beard, and gaunt face with sunken eyes, that of someone who has not slept well in many years. And I think that if there's a fire, I'm sure I'm sort of sitting across from it and I'm sort of lost as I gaze into the fire.
There's a pitiful small campfire between you and these piercing green eyes gazing across from you in this filthy stone building that you're in. The ceiling is crumbling and beams of moonlight come in. The harsh winds seep in through the cracks in the walls and buffet you. Your own small licking fire is almost an insult to the bonfire that is raging in the town square behind you. Roll for me, if you will, a d10.
Oh boy, already.
All of us, or just
Phoba.
Phoba. And Phoba uses he, him pronouns?
Yes, Phoba is he, him.
A 7.
7.
A bow is clutched in your hands. A weapon of choice, perhaps? Or a weapon of necessity?
Either way, you see that whatever strength is in this person's body, it's all devoted to how he's gripping that bow as tightly as possible. It means something to him.
10 arrows left in the quiver. Roll me a d6 and 2 d12s.
And I think I can select them all together and create like a pool. Great.
Yeah, and it actually shows up on
Yeah, when
your
you're
video,
selecting
which
them.
is very nice. I really like it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very partial to it.
Wow.
ooh.
6, 11, and 12.
I love that it shows individual
Fortuitous,
results.
yeah. Outside, your pack mule, your donkey, brays gently. Its breath rattling hoarsely in its chest. It's seen better days, but then again, so have you.
Yeehaw.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. My
Skin
pack
and
mule is
bones now.
named, Deimos.
Nice.
Deimos. And actually, this is a moment where I'm going to introduce a tool I've created for you all using the Roll app. If you, let's see, I think I can just click on this. I created a special template using the tools and Roll. If you look at your sheets, you'll notice a sheet's called shared notes. Now, shared notes, let me go ahead and add everyone as editors. This is a little template I've made where you can add NPCs at will, locations, and loot. Yeah,
cool.
it's actually an interesting little, let me see if I can just.
And I can see it says currently being edited by someone else, so I can see when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, fancy.
Let's see if I can.
So, question for you then.
Yeah.
For those of us new to Roll, if someone is editing it, does that mean no one else can work on it, or can we all work on it at the same time?
I believe you
question.
can, as long as you're not working on the same piece of it, you can work on it at the same time.
Nice.
So you might just want to always hit the add button, and then so that way it's like you're not writing over each other's notes. But this is a place for you to share notes, because I've noticed that a lot of times you have people in the group that are maybe more meticulous note takers and people that are less meticulous note takers. This creates a really easy way for you to share what you know with each other. I created 3 fields: NPCs, locations, and loot. You can choose to keep your loot hidden, or you can share it with the entire group. There's a general's description tag. There's an area where you can add how many of a given item you have, and you can kind of tick it down to keep track. You can also, keep track of how dangerous an area is, whether or not you've cleared it, and you can camp there safely. And as well as same with NPCs, you can mark them as friendly, unfriendly, and leave general notes about whether or not you'd maybe like to change that status as you come across them. But
So I just added Unguent as a safe zone, which is the city that I believe you mentioned, and then
Yes.
the Sarkash foliage, which are the woods that's outside.
amazing. Yes. And now everyone has access to that. This is our sort of living document, kind of like our lines and veils template. It didn't actually take me very long to whip up, and I thought it would be a nice little tool for you all to have.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And now we also have another NPC,
Deimos.
Demos,
My pack mule.
our prize donkey. But that's not all you have. You rolled very well with
I
an
did.
11 and a 12. You also have clinking against something else in your pack, unsettlingly, a bottle of red poison, of which 4 doses remain. And lastly, a tent.
Wow.
Ooh.
I wonder if Phoba dips their arrows in the poison.
Funny you should say so. I will allow that to continue to be a mystery.
Ooh. Also, it looks like you got a little red poison under your eye.
This is,
Yeah.
this is
Don't
just
get
how I
it in
look.
your eye.
It's that lack of sleep catching up.
That's
with
true.
It sure is, yes.
And then lastly, roll me a d4.
There you are.
A 1.
Of course.
No armor. Clad
Yeah.
in dirty, ragged cloth,
Wow. That works.
clinging to your slight frame.
Don't mess with the guy that's not wearing armor. They're unafraid of anything.
They are unafraid of anything. It's true.
So you're the vagabond in Elden Ring, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
The green eyes regard you. Wealthy, are we?
Lucky.
Fallen on hard times, though.
Unfortunately, yes.
Or fortunately.
True. As he stares into that small fire, half lost in thought.
She pokes at it with a stick now, kind of like moving forward unsettlingly on all fours as she does so, poking at it with one gauntleted hand, trying to coax a little bit more fire, a little bit more warmth, a little bit more succor from a dying ember. Her eyes dart suspiciously over at you, Xander. Xander, will you introduce yourself and then describe your character for us?
Yeah, I'm Xander Jeanneret. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm going to be playing Grin today. That's Grin, and it's he, they for my character. Grin has anything but. There is a sort of grimace on their face with gaunt, sallow cheeks and a wisp of what was once pink hair, but maybe is sort of like a dead salmon. And it's sort of the effect of being underwater, but it's so wispy that it could just be affected by the air currents around them. They're wearing these rags that come down, exposing their shoulders and arms. And if you look closer, you can see that maybe there are elements of plants or veins that are just under the gaunt skin. Yeah, and I think the coalescence of that veining comes near his eyes.
Roll me a d10.
Yes, I will. Okay. Du-du-du. Does it say? Oh, do I have to hit? Oh, roll.
Yeah,
Ha ha
roll.
ha ha. A 1.
A 1. I love this. I love this so much. This is you are clutching in your hand a human femur.
Oh my God. I mean, metal.
The end of it, is it sharpened or is this more of a club?
I think it's sharpened, but more for digging.
Ah. Unsettling, to say the least. The green eyes look over at your belongings. Roll me a d6 and 2d12.
With my femur spade. A d6 and 1, 2. Roll. A 4, a 10, and a 9.
4, a 10, and a 9. You have a filthy burlap sack, threadbare in places, but large enough to hold about 10 regularly sized items. And then a sealed bottle made of crude metals, hastily welded together. Maybe a bomb of some sort. And lastly, made of a piece of scrap metal, maybe hastily pried from the top of a roof. A shield.
Yes.
Battered, but maybe strong enough to wield off one or more attacks. At any point in time, the shield will reduce any health damage to you by 1, or it can absorb 1 attack completely, but will shatter from the impact. Her suspicious eyes note the filthy burlap sack, the femur in your hand. What about you then? Do you have something you can throw in the fire?
I'll rummage around in this burlap sack, and the image that's sort of forming in my head is that Grin may be a borrower of artifacts from the recently or not so recently deceased.
As you look in, you see tawdry trinkets and bits of rubbish. Nothing
Maybe a
flammable.
finger bone.
Yeah. Nothing truly flammable.
So with that in mind, Grin will take one of these spare bones and start crunching it in their fingers into a fine powder, and then will blow it into the fire.
It flicks up momentarily, giving you all a little bit of warmth and comfort before again reducing down into just a lick of flame. As the flame temporarily flares up for just a moment, it illuminates another figure that was previously almost concealed in the shadows. Cypher of Tyr, will you please introduce yourself to us and tell us what we see?
Hi, my name's Tanya, Cypher of Tyr. Cypher of Tyr over on the internet. And what you see is a figure that is looking very scurrilous. She's looking around at all of you, kind of like, I guess this is my lot in life for the decisions I've made. She's about my complexion, also has locks, but they're pulled back in a ponytail that looks worse for wear. It's been a while since she's done anything with her locks. They're veering more toward mats at this point. She's wearing a cloak over what looks to be battered armor. And the name she gives you is Raven. Her eyes are the only bright thing about her. Her voice to you sounds sweet, melodious, like running water out of a brook. But to her, it will always sound like breaking shattered glass. Her soul being not as bright as her eyes can ever be.
Roll me a d10.
A 3.
A short sword.
Mm.
Is it at your back or is it in your hand?
Right now it's in my hand because we're out here kind of exiled, so I don't know
Yeah.
who could run above me.
Yeah. It's not a particularly distinguished weapon. Maybe a little bit unkempt like the rest of you. A few notches in the blade. A little bit of the patina of kind of corrosion beginning to take the edges, as it does with all things here in Ungwent. Roll me a d6 and 2 d12.
Good roll. Good roll. A 2, a 12, and a 3.
You were unable to grab a backpack or anything before you left. You have no place to keep your belongings. Because of this, the silver crucifix that you own is instead hanging from your hip. Everything you own is kind of strung about your person, as you don't possess a pack animal or a back bag of your own. You also have, sitting in the shadows behind you, a creature so mangled and gnarled for a moment you can't even discern that it's a dog. A little bit emaciated, but still very virile, bright eyes perk behind you. Even though its figure is slight, it is still vicious, and it is just as scurrilous as you are. You hear it probably as the green eyes, as the fire kind of flares up, the green eyes turn over to you, and everyone finally takes notice of this figure in the shadows. You hear the dog. And then just kind of like lean against Raven quietly.
If I can give my poor little dog a name.
Yeah.
Of course.
It'll be Invictus.
Invictus. Invictus.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. It is a grumpy little dog, but
Should
it's
I-
my dog.
Change it from friendly to neutral.
Neutral for all of you, friendly
Sure.
to me.
Yeah.
Copy.
Invictus only obeys you.
Mm.
Their bite does 1d4 damage,
Mm-hmm.
and they have 5 hit points.
Oh, poor little doggo.
Yeah. Like I said, for a moment, it even takes you a moment to figure out, is that a raccoon or no? It is in fact a very lanky dog that has maybe seen some better days. Its hair hangs in mats around its face. What color is it?
He's dark gray, but in this light, he looks like he might have rolled in blood or mud. You can't tell right now.
Yeah. Scratches at one ear in a bored fashion, kind of walks around your feet in a circle a few times, and eventually just throws himself as dogs do on the floor, kicking up the dust from the dirt floor. And you then? Do you have anything you can burn in the fire?
I make a show of patting literally all of my belongings. Unfortunately, no.
I guess we'll just have to dwell in the cold then.
And who might you be exactly?
They call me Hapment.
Hapment?
Yes.
And were you two? Oh, go ahead.
Hapment, why are you here and why are we here?
Well, you don't come here unless you know why you're here.
You must have forgotten. Are you one who forgets things easily? And that's to you.
To Grin.
To Grin.
I seem to be living in the moment. I just want to be warmed by this fire.
Well, defiling the dead will get you exiled, so I'm sure you're holding the evidence of your guilt in your hand.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't say the same for myself. She leans back from the fire, kind of collapsing against a large piece of stone fallen in from the ceiling. They was accused of murdering my sister.
Did you do it?
I wanted her to die, so I guess that's good as doing it. I mean, that's all that matters these days. I wasn't sad when she passed.
She deserved it.
That is up for debate.
As is everything else that has to do with our fates. I kind of noticing that the fire is almost gone, if it's not gone yet. I'd like to see if I can bring Deimos inside. Well, oftentimes in the past, if I'm cold, I will sleep up against share the body heat of my pack mule. I'll lead him in if I can and get him to lay down near us.
As you go out to Deimos and take him by the leads, you hear footsteps crunching on the frosty grass behind you.
Careful, friend.
You see a being of indiscernible gender, kind of with a page boy's haircut, almost skipping on the stones. Their boots are worn, but at one point may have been nice. And they're wearing simple leather armor, like those of the hunters from the town of Ungwent. You see bits of prayer scrolls and holy texts stapled in places crudely with small bits of metal, almost as warding charms about their person.
Is that a familiar practice to me?
You've seen it by those that consider themselves the most pious. Whether or not their hearts are is up for debate.
Who goes there?
So this is where the people go when they are no longer welcome, yes?
It appears to be so.
Are
you here to join us?
I am also, as of, an hour ago, no longer welcome. I asked them to wait until the morning, but they were not feeling so inclined, so.
I will pop my head back into the other group. Were they able to overhear what was just said from the outside?
Give me a presence roll.
First
roll.
So to roll, do we just click on the number?
On the skill?
Yes, I believe, or you can roll a d20 and then just add the number that's your
Gotcha.
presence to it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Solid 10.
And what is your presence score?
0. So that is...
You can't discern whether or not they were, I should say, listening to you. In fact, they kind of come like skipping in behind you as you lead Deimos in.
Okay. We have someone else joining us, apparently. And I'll look back. Your name, Again, I can't remember if you gave it already.
Oath.
Oath.
As in to swear an oath.
Mm.
Or to break an oath.
Mm. They take like some of the holy scripts from their vestment and they actually unceremoniously begin to pick away at it and put it into the fire, bringing it up to not a roaring flame, but something a bit more substantial.
Most welcome indeed.
Well, more useful than prayers is a little bit of heat.
Oh.
True. So, what did you do?
Oh, me? I slept with the town holy man.
Oh.
Apparently,
Was-
you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, was it at least fun?
That is up for debate. But I apparently tempted them into sin. Who's to say?
Ah.
Is that where these relics come from that you've stapled to yourself?
Oh, no, these I have found while wandering.
What?
I thought they were keeping me safe, but if I'm here, then obviously they don't work.
I want to approach one of them. I want to read what it says.
Yeah. You read a simple prayer, maybe one that's somewhat familiar to you, to the great two-headed basilisk. You believe that maybe this person believes that this basilisk will watch over them, save them from the encroaching darkness.
As soon as I absorb that, I'm going to move to another parchment. I want to see if it's in different handwriting.
Yeah. You notice that it is.
These are prayers from others that you have taken along your journey.
Well, I had more use for them than the people who wore them prior.
Are they dead?
Yeah, they died. I was a hunter, and every time one of my hunting party met an unfortunate and I took a little piece of them with me. And look, they even help me now. She removes one from someone named Gerard. Everyone give me a presence check.
Oh, boy.
That'll be a total of 21.
21.
6. I am transfixed on something else.
Yeah.
The
A
fire.
natural 20!
Natural 20.
Is there a buff for that in the system?
There is in damage and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
So with an 18 and with a 20, with the 18, Raven, you notice that this item is of some value and that this individual's play at being callous about it it's a farce. Grin, with that nat 20, you see just a tinge of guilt play over the face like a shadow. It's so momentary, you're not sure if it was just a shadow from the flames. But it's gone, almost like a whisper on the wind. And the small parchment catches the very edge of the flames and goes up in a bit of smoke as Oath drops it into the fire. Look, they even help me now.
Did you know the people these belonged to?
Like you, I wasn't a absolute degenerate. I actually did things to help Angwent.
I helped in my own way.
Yourself to people's belongings.
You
And
know
they
too
kind of
much.
like put up their like chin at your femur spade.
Where are you getting your information? I've been accused.
And you see Hapment kind of get up with a clatter of disheveled, decrepit armor, rusting. You think maybe it could sustain 1 or 2 blows, but it's long since its heyday. And kind of like regarding Oath, almost with like upset, just begin to crunch out, like stomp her way out of the hovel you're in, as she says, "I'm gonna go look for firewood."
You're going to go by yourself.
Yes, I'm going to go by myself. I'd rather go by myself than be with that, pointing at Oath.
Oh.
Your armor doesn't look like it could take much more. Are you
You
sure?
don't look like you can take much more.
You know, when you're right, you're right. And Grin will just lay down.
Wow. Wow.
The piercing
this-
green eyes look ablaze now. And she says unceremoniously, "Don't speak to me again, grave defiler."
Everyone's a critic.
You don't have much friends around here.
I've lost all of my friends, and that's why I turn to the dead.
And I'll turn to Oath. You too have lost, it seems. And I'll kind of like gesture to the parchments that are on their garments. You too have lost all your friends?
No, some of them are still living.
The holy man does not seem to be your friend,
Well,
despite his friendliness with you.
can you really blame? I think we're all trying to get by any means. I guess a holy man is not so holy if he's doing that, but
No.
what's holier than an act of
Pleasure.
in this fucked world? I mean, do you know about her? And at this, you actually see Oath kind of like slinking forward to the window, looking out at Hapment's rapidly sort of disappearing figure in the evening mist.
No.
But you do.
She killed her sister. Claims that she didn't, but she did. I can tell you that.
She shared that she wanted to, but may not have committed the act.
I mean, they look around with some relish. And like, as they kind of almost like gesture you in, like they're about to gossip, you see now that their face illuminated by the fire looks gaunter than that of a healthy young person. The shadows under their eyes are accentuated. Their vestments suddenly can no longer hide like the burden of something heavier they've been carrying with them. But they still like kind of move forward, usher you in and say, "She went hunting with her sister, and her sister never came back."
The same is true for all of these people that go on hunts with you. Have you been accused?
You know, she was jealous.
Of what?
Her sister's skill, her sister's talent. No,
If she was so talented, why did she end up dead?
well, that's where it gets interesting.
Oh.
The way Hapment would tell you, they were ambushed by bandits in the forest, by thieves, by cutthroats, and her sister perished holding them off so she could get away. But then tell me this, gravedigger, why were there bear trap marks around her leg when we found the body?
You think that Hapment used bear traps on her sister?
Well, she's the one that carries them with her. She's a trapper. I think she trapped her sister there and told the cutthroats where she was. But she'll tell you something very different. She tries to act so high and mighty. Like she doesn't belong out here. But I guess I've fallen into her lot. I was rather happy when they got rid of her. Her sister? Much better person.
What name did her sister go by?
Jade.
Ah. You're a hunter as well. Of course, you said. But you're very curious to me. Because your group does not seem to survive very well, as is evidenced by your garment.
True. It's a dangerous job, but one of honor and glory, if you can do it.
You are good. You bring back from your hunts, you serve our community well, you bring back food.
It's my plan to get out of here. You see, when they sent me, they told me, well, I overheard that, well, how much do you know about the local politics? I'm assuming not much, since you live in a hovel at the edge of town.
That's assuming a lot.
You know, just because you fucked your way out here doesn't mean that we don't know anything.
Raven has a point.
I would like to know what you know, just in case.
And Raven's companion knows if you're lying, so watch it or you'll be fed to them.
They look over at like the dog and they're like, I would commit the sacrifice willingly just to see the poor beast fed. I like you though. You're a little spicy.
And I just lean back and give her a smile, and then I start to hum. And to her, it will sound like the most beautiful thing ever.
They look around at all of you and are kind of just like, the Western Kingdom, ruled by a very strange individual, King Fatma the Ninth.
P-H?
Fathmu.
A-T-H-M-U. Fatmu. The Western King.
He is obsessed with the prophecies of the two-headed basilisk. Obsessed.
And is this where you have yours from? That part, and Grin will point to that parchment.
Oh, well, some of us believe in the basilisk's prophecy, but maybe he takes it too far. He's trying to fuel some type of holy crusade, and he's trying to uncover old relics that will maybe bring back the glory of his kingdoms. But to such an end, to have an army, one needs to feed it. He came to Angoend 2 days past and demanded a truly kingly sum of rations, meat, fish, anything for his army. And he said that if the demand was not met, he would raise the city to the ground as heretics, since they won't help him in his demented plans. But I think this creates a unique opportunity for us.
Go on.
Well, they are talking about creating some type of new rite, a new way to regain entrance into the town. if you are able to bring back the required amount of prey, the required amount of animal flesh, you can buy your way in, almost like a ransom.
Or a penance.
I think that's what they called it.
Mm.
The penitent's right. Something like this. I don't know.
So you come to us in a hovel outside the edge of town, wanting us to save the town from being razed, just so that we could perhaps have the chance to live amongst their civilization again. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Why should we not let it burn to the ground?
Well, one day or another, we'll die out here.
And when you do, I will pick your bones clean.
That depends on which one of us goes first. You don't have any prayer scrolls to add to my collection, but maybe you have some teeth.
Those are mine.
He does
Only
not have
until
all
you're
his teeth.
dead. He doesn't have all his teeth. Is this true?
Oh yeah, there are definitely teeth missing. But contrary to facts, he has them, just not in his mouth.
Aha.
Your name is Grin, though.
Yeah, and that's where I got it. There's just huge gaps.
Oh no.
Yeah.
This is very, very interesting, this information that you share with us.
What did you do? Don't you want to go back? Don't you have anybody left in the town? What
No.
did you do?
What did
What
I
did
do?
you do?
Did you kill your sister like Hapman?
No, I don't know what I did. I woke up suddenly and around me were what seemed to be objects and scrawls of what they interpreted as an unholy ritual.
A cult?
I don't recall. I have this sometimes. I will sleep, walk, and I don't remember what I do. I do not sleep well.
Profane acts.
Accusations only. Unjust. But you and your information is very intriguing to me. How many of us are out here exiled with this opportunity? Is it just us 5 now? I cannot recall how many more they expel, if they do at all.
Most don't last very long. I saw a camp to the west a few miles out, completely destroyed.
When is the king to return? Do you know?
Well, from what the holy man said, if they enact this right, something like 11 days. They
11
are
days.
desperate. They need us. They have
do.
2 options. Either their precious wall, or for that matter, our precious wall now, will collapse, or they will starve. This creates a unique opportunity for enterprising individuals such as ourselves.
It is true.
Now, some of you may be used to living on the fringes of society. I personally would prefer not to. I do better with people.
I hear you. And for reasons that are my own, I am, as I said, intrigued. And I find this to be a worthy exploration.
Shh. You see Oath kind of slink over to the window. She's coming back. Oh, okay. If you are interested, meet me at the edge of the bog to the east of here. I'll leave you a yellow chalk marker so you know where to go. Don't tell her. And
right.
Oath, kind of spider-like, kind of moves out through a crack in the wall in the back.
There's one observation that I'd like to make, as if I get to glimpse the two of them side by side at all. You described Oath as gaunt.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, how does Hapmet
Mm-hmm.
compare?
Hatment looks like the armor is wearing her. And in fact, after you all arrived, you noticed that Hatment has been here the longest. You probably come and go from this hovel as need takes you, depending on how long it has been since your exile. But regardless of how long you've been in exile, it seems like Hatman's punishment outdates most of yours.
I see. Is there anybody from the town that appears well fed, or at least better fed than us?
Occasionally, members of the clerical order, members of the holy order, members of the church.
And the hunters are who typically, their job is to bring us food. And now there's this extra pressure. Are there any hunters that appear to be better fed than the two that I've met today?
No.
Oh.
A lot of the time in the town of Ungwent, whose main enterprise is the selling of holy relics and holy ointments and healing balms, your occasional, maybe even holy scroll, where profanity and occult acts are renounced with rapidity and a almost zealous sort of, they're met with a zeal that is rather alarming, I could say. In such an environment, you would know that those are the first fed. Those that are considered the innocent, the lambs of the town. And the wolves, the hunters, exist only to keep the sheep. Children, people that are considered soft members of society, more noble members of society, untainted by violence, are those that are cared for first. And the wolves believe their redemption and their passage to a better afterlife will come with their service.
Well, neither of those. I don't believe I've ever been a hunter. But if there's a
You
moment,
could have been a simple town person living in the safety of this bonfire. It's thick, heady sort of smoke, rich with the smell of holy oils and incense, keeping the evils of the nearby wilds at bay. You may have come here as a simple trader, a simple settler, living in the warmth of this glow to get in sort of from the cold. And those that are neither sheep nor wolves often find themselves the least cared for in this society.
Grin has been sort of lying on the ground near this bonfire and will roll over and shuffle closer towards Raven. And almost under his breath, you hear them say, "Oh, we've been sharing a lot this evening, but I've noticed you've been a little quiet regarding what you did to end up here."
Oh, so curious, aren't you, Grin?
Either I find out now or after your passing.
Oh, planning to pick me clean as well, then.
If the opportunity arises.
I appreciate the honesty. I sung a song for the wrong people. I traded a lot for this voice that you hear, and well, not everyone appreciated my melody, and while my voice was used for my greater gain, someone decided that I need to take the fall for their failure. I was set up.
You were framed.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the benefit goes towards us. Your dulcet voice is the only source of joy I have in this hellscape.
Oh, really?
Sing me a tune, Raven.
I will spare all of you me actually singing. But Raven, she shakes her hands out and actually takes one of your hands, Grin, and looks into your eyes, and you notice how bright and golden they are. And
Almost
she sings,
in opposite, Grin's eyes are dead, just sockets that are staring at you. It's almost skull-like, yeah.
And she sings you a sorrowful but sweet song, one that is aimed to touch what is left of your heart.
It's faint, but still there. I'm still alive.
Good.
That's beautiful, but it can probably bring in trouble, Hapmet says, kind of entering through the collapsing doorway of this stone, what used to be an outlook post that's since been abandoned. She comes in with a very pathetic looking bundle of twigs under her arm and begins gently placing them into the fire, kind of trying to bring it up to more than just a small curl of flame. Pokes at it absentmindedly and then looks around. Where did it go?
I don't know who you mean.
Oath.
They had an errand to attend to.
You have history with them?
Yes.
You don't trust them?
Hard to trust a liar.
Tell us what happened between you and your sister. We don't care. We just want the truth.
It's hard to trust a liar.
She sighs and pulls off the massive visor. Underneath, you see hastily braided hair that is sticking out frizzly from being underneath the helmet for almost forever, and a brown face with bushy eyebrows that looks impossibly tired. And she says, kind of clattering the helm on the ground unceremoniously as she slumps down again on a piece of roughly hewn ballast. We went hunting together, and she's always picking at me. Every little thing. The grip on my mace. The way I would track.
The way you set bear traps.
Yeah, I suppose, actually, yeah. She had an opinion on everything. That day, we were hunting an elk. A strange thing. Large, lumbering. We'd been tracking it for what felt like days. We heard ruffians in the woods. I thought we should lay back and fortify our position. Jade thought we should get the jump on them. We disagreed. I created a defensible position. She decided to get the jump on the bandits. She was outnumbered 6-1. She killed 3 of them before she realized her mistake. As she tried to retreat, she stepped into my fortifications. I heard the trap snap. I heard them coming. And I ran. I don't know if I felt like she deserved it. But I wasn't ready to die on her account, either way. And when I came back to the town and explained what happened, they didn't believe me. What's worse is that one points out the door towards where she assumes Oath has departed from. Had such an opinion on it.
Did they know?
Well, even if she's telling the truth, it's still a craven's act. So high and mighty. Like they wouldn't have done the same damn thing. They keep coming back from their hunts alive. Such an opinion. Such a mouth. Huh.
They're
That
collecting.
That one is evil.
Hmm.
That one is faith-made judgment. That one thinks they're more pious than everyone else, and everyone else must be a sinner. And if that one, for a moment, for even a moment, thinks that there's any trace of heresy within any of you, they'll feed you to the boar next.
To the boar.
To the boar. Boars are what Oath made their name on. Bringing back boars and bringing back bodies.
I think your observations are interesting. I noticed that as pious as you seem to understand them to be, the only prayers they have on them are those that belong to others that they collect. Arrogance is what got you killed, and it wasn't, or got you here. Pardon me, we're not dead yet. But it was not your arrogance, it was the arrogance of your sister, and they're blaming you for that. And
She
that
had a
is
death wish.
for the both of you, and it seems to have worked.
Jade was always that type. Part of me wonders if I had listened to her plan and gone with her, if we may have overcome those odds. Part of me is just happy that she's gone.
If there's a way to ascertain the sincerity of this remorse, I would love to try.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and give me, I believe it's presence again. Presence has been very, very useful in this game thus far.
The other ones seem a little physical or combat based, so
Yeah,
I'm glad we
this is
haven't
more
used
of
that
like
yet.
to perceive something or charm someone, to discern something about them.
I rolled a 17.
Nice.
Yeah. You get that they're still withholding something from you. You're not sure that that she's necessarily lying about the story, but you can tell her dislike of Oath is on another level too. That there's like multiple tiers to this.
And there is some remorse about the loss of her sister, perhaps.
Yes.
I will approach her. I appreciate your honesty and your forthcoming nature. I sense that there is more to your story and your relationship to the one who just left. You could keep that to yourself or divulge it if you so wish. But thank you for that honesty. And I'm going to start to draw on the ground in front of us between her and I, some symbols that might be unfamiliar to some of the people from where we're from.
Mm.
And there's something ritualistic in nature, even. Kneel with me, if you would. Us outcasts, exiled to our own doom. I would like to offer you something for your sister who is no longer here with you, so that you may move on, if you have not done so yet.
She joins you.
Grin will also kneel down.
Raven circles them, but starts to give them a dirge.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not trying to hide this. There's something about the symbology that I'm using that is clearly not exactly the kind of religion that is practiced with where we're from.
Something older.
Mm.
It's maybe something even more primal.
And I trace these symbols, and they're very kind of, they're just like shapes, triangles and squiggly lines and circles, and maybe something that looks like stars and something that looks like water. And I trace those, and then I will grab Hatmit. I'll grab their hand, and I will trace them, use her finger to kind of trace over the symbols over and over again as I kind of mutter something under my breath that's mostly not discernible. And at one point I'll stop and take her hand and put it in between one hand, in between both of my hands, and look into her eyes. Set yourself free. The pious ones from where we dwelled are selfish. They use their ways to imprison us, but there is another way to be, another way to pray. For freedom. Find that freedom. Find it for yourself, find it for your sister. Find yourself a new way. Free. And then I'll let it go.
As you do, you notice her face soften. And then she quickly picks her helmet up, puts it back on, slamming it down over her head. It clanks against her shoulder piece. And now her voice kind of reverberates again with the acoustics of this. I've spent a long time trying to help the people removed from that town. Most of them don't last a week. You? I hope you last longer. Her green eyes through the slits of her helmet burn with a new emerald sheen, I should say. They look brighter than before. I found this while gathering firewood. She pulls out a scroll. Anyone that can bring 30 pounds of edible flesh to the town can with it buy their way into the Holy Order or buy their way into a station one above their current standing.
I want to look at this scroll. This is like a scroll from our town, right? This is not something that the king's people.
Yeah. It has like as you're examining it, the wax seal at the bottom is that of the Holy Order of Ungwent.
Mm-hmm.
As they're looking at this scroll, Grin sort of, at first we saw has an apathetic feeling towards this, but then it's almost like a light bulb clicks in their mind and you can see the cogs starting to turn. If we give them 30 pounds of edible flesh, they surely will have to eat it. They're desperate. We can feed the king's army anything. Grin sort of mumbles this to himself and says, I'm in.
And Raven just kind of cocks her head, almost like an actual raven at Grin. I see we think alike. I just smile at him. He didn't say what flesh it had to be.
30 pounds per person? Am I understanding that right?
And then you notice, like, she looks over the thing. Per hunting party.
Oh,
We'll have competition.
We will.
The competition will make flesh.
Perhaps some of our competition came to pay us a visit earlier and left just moments ago, expecting us to meet them, asking us to join them.
That's certainly at least enough for 30 pounds, if not more.
We're hunting anything. I'm in. Let us hunt.
Hapment, will you be joining our hunting party? We could use some traps.
She sits down again near the flickering fire. But what if someone is exiled after you leave? Who will keep the fire stoked for them?
You carry the burdens of every soul in this town until they all are perfect. What a terrible burden.
What if we bring back enough flesh for others, not just ourselves?
When you make this proposition, she stands up. Well, then I suppose I'd have to join you.
Is it late at night? Have we been at the beginning of this? Were we getting ready to basically turn in? Or is this the beginning of a new day?
It was kind of like,
Winding down.
Hatment was kind of trying to like get the fire going enough to get you through the night. And based off of her remarks, you wonder if this is like a post she keeps for people who don't have anywhere else to go.
And just for my sake, the way that I remember it, Oath did ask us not to tell Hatment, but Hatment of their own volition came with the scroll
Yes.
that was basically saying the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. You have a few different options. You can choose not to do it altogether, or you can choose to aid Oath, or
Hatment
as
is an option.
Phoba has done, aid Hatment, who's now a bit more friendly to you since you've kind of created or ordained this ritual of atonement in a way.
I get up and I walk towards Deimos and lay down next to him, trying to share in his body heat. In the morning, we set out for our hunt, yes, all of us.
Tell me, Phoba, does your mule sleepwalk as well?
I don't know. Sometimes I wake up somewhere else and Deimos is with me, and sometimes I am alone.
I'm gonna sleep over here. And he'll sort of get far away from getting squashed by a mule in his sleep.
And you'll notice that I take out a rope and I actually tie myself to the mule. Tonight is not a night for sleepwalking, although I do welcome it sometimes.
And if Grin will allow it, I will come over and it's like, well, you're not the warmest person I've met, but still somebody. It is better than none.
As long as you can make sure that friend of yours isn't too hungry for flesh.
Oh, Invictus is fun.
And then, like, it's as if Grin has been waiting for this. He goes up to the dog and, oh, yo, who's so good? Oh, Invictus.
And surprisingly, Invictus lets you.
Yeah, and even the femur ends up in Invictus's mouth. The femur spade.
Now it's
You
coated
know?
in its own kind of poison. You just got your own weapon. Ooh.
The disheveled crew settles down for the night. It is not a restful sleep. It is a fitful one. The ramshackle guard post you are in is not even four walls and a roof. It's something in between, maybe 2.5. The wind whistles in through the cracks, and you wake up before you're ready to, as the first light of dawn creeps in through the cracks as well. Pale yellow, offering little warmth. You notice Hatman has not slept. She is instead sitting in the exact same position you left her in last night, keeping watch. The fire now cold. She stomps it with a strange relish. As the ash drifts up from underneath her crunching boot heel, you notice how deep the ash goes and how long this fire may have been tended. She takes a large handful of the ash and puts it with an almost reverence to a small leather pouch, ties it about her waist. Then she picks up her mace, which is cobwebs on it in a corner, slings it over her shoulder, and walks out the front door to wait for you all.
I'm going to start to gather my things, but I too want to take some of that ash in a pouch. I'll do so with a kind of care and reverence. Turn to the other two. I'm sure you saw what I saw, but in this ash is a long history that means something to her.
She must have been here for some time.
Seen a lot. Memories are a powerful spell.
We should be cautious around her, though. I have heard rumors that a lack of sleep may drive one to lunacy.
That's if she needs to sleep.
And I start gathering my stuff and putting it on Deimos. I notice, Raven, that you don't have much. But if you so like, you could use Deimos to carry some of your things to ease your burden. Both of you.
Thank you. And I'll stack the burlap patch bag on the...
And I just kind of once more pat myself kind of as an affectation. What you see is what I have.
We're leaving this place, right?
Yes.
Grin will look around. Because she's been staying here for a while, are there any remnants of like cobbled together furniture or a table or anything like that?
Yeah. Here is
So,
what you all find.
Oh.
As you look around, Grin, you notice that you're not the first travelers to have, you're not the first exiles, I should say, to have made a temporary home here. Hapman almost superstitiously has left all of their past belongings behind perfectly.
okay, wait.
Not wishing to take them.
Uh-oh.
Not
This
wishing to
is-
take them for herself. You're not sure what happened to these people. Maybe they went on to great fame and fortune and had no need to come back for these paltry scraps. Or maybe a fate much more foul has befallen them. Regardless, there are bits and bobs that they no longer have use for. Here is your shared sort of loot. Okay, so
Grave robber sense activate.
The glee in your eyes.
It's like, I don't even have to dig.
yeah. So you find, and this is like for all of you together. You find 100 silver coins.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Nice.
8 here, 7 there. You have to pick them together, kind of looking underneath. Kind of like looking under the couch. You find some in a boot.
Oh, this one's actually 2. They're just kind of stuck.
I'm putting that in our shared notes.
Yes.
The boot
Woohoo.
itself is so filled with holes and the soles are falling off that they're unwearable.
Hmm.
You also find 8 days worth of moldering rations.
Oh, just scrape it off. It's fine.
Yeah, some of them hard tack bread, maybe more suited for an animal than a person. And some bits of what look to be broth that has been boiled and then added, like artificially like thickened into like this almost gruel. When you open the pouch, it smells like almost like it's been fermenting, but you also know it's safe to eat that way. You also find this 13.
I've got the rations
8
and the
days.
coins.
100 silver.
Mm-hmm.
The rations and the coins. Yeah.
I didn't
With the
have
13, you pick up what looks to be like a stack of what at one point was either holy or profane scrolls. Definitely could be useful to someone who could discern their meaning, but as you lift them up, they crumble worthlessly into your hands.
Oh, no.
So moth-eaten, so old.
so they're gone. But
Yeah.
but they lasted long enough to recognize what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get a chance to look at any of the symbols on there? Did it mean anything in that brief moment?
In that brief moment, you remember some of the symbols from like the holy rites they carry out in the town of Ungwent.
Okay.
And that's about it.
We should keep our eyes out for this. We might find more scrawlings of this nature that will be potentially useful. We know the king that is due to come back is having a very pious moment in his life.
Was there any sign of this two-headed basilisk before these parchments
Ooh.
crumbled?
Yes,
Good question.
most definitely so. In fact, you even discern the name by which people pray to this basilisk. Verhu. Verhu.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a sort of mythological being that people pray to.
Mm-hmm.
And are they supposed to?
Well,
offer
you're not
protection?
sure if it's mythological or real.
Oh, real.
Many claim that this basilisk wanders the continent.
Ah.
As you step out of the door with your new belongings
No, they're hidden.
safely squirreled away, you look out at what appears to be a new world bathed in the morning sun. You feel the shadows underneath the boughs of the trees from the Sarkosh forest feel like they're reaching out towards you. Hapmint's mace catches the first glint of sunlight. And she turns around to all of you and says, "Let the hunt begin." And that's our first episode.
So cool.
Ooh.
We will catch you next time on Mörk Bronze.
Wow, more bronze.
More bra.